The street is my world. I don't pretend to go uptown and be anything fancy. I can, but I find more real in the world that I'm in than I do the tinsel. And the real world is the one I have to deal with every day, you know? Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
Let the bass kick.
Playtime been over since y'all dropped the ball. Bound to the continent, there's no asylum for y'all. Pushing the black Asiatic game with Ford L and Pool Bay. Before NOI, I rep draw L all day. How many fakes proclaim to be the reincarnation and claim to be the true head of the Moorish nation? No mention of Mealy Ill, but I read his letters. Dirty Moors mad cause they thought they dead as letters. Many were there when decisions were handed down. Now they claim that Mealy was not ordained, not commissioned, not called or appointed. With divine plans for ages, but Dirty Moors making changes. Working with FBI during infiltrations. In a pheasant alleys giving bogey smoke inhalations. And secret wars were made, heads unmade in public mentions. Don't believe, get the minutes of the first convention. Kirkman and Lomax Bay got called out as villains against the Prophet's order and L called Givens. Thousands of Moorish Americans followed those leaders that killed the prophet and made Moors parrots, not readers. They don't study, brains hollow. To crush the truth, plant dissension in the ones that follow. Rob the treasury, felt like they hit the lotto. Took advantage of the faithful Moors in their times of sorrow. Moments still critical, 100 years later, the message. Stick to the principles in your actions, be progressive. Don't sell your soul for a title, take your membership role. Watch out for grand cheeks pushing you in a censorship hole. The sellout was great, now they comfy and won't get the hell out. Active Moors come around, they get clumsy. Not humbly, but act grumpy and jumpy. Active Moors see them touchy and think it's lovely. With faces ugly, I push back so don't shove me. If not for love, it would be just as Dirty Moors get from me. Hitting all reincarnates with writs of discovery and demanding the treasury recovery and law for money. Wearing affairs don't make you a Moorish adept. Dirty Moorish heads are Boy Scouts and cadets. Working for FBI inspectors, slaves for gadgets. Claiming they got pulled but they really dead magnets. Running a fraud that's done cause new Moors are here. One for all for one profit like musketeers. Bay, not Tampa or Buccaneers. I strike nerves like harp or strings on those puppeteers. Pushing misconceptions as teachings and calling it facts. Swinging my scimitar tongue, not a fireman's axe. Quick to call me out as dirty, say I violate acts. If you don't nationalize, know that I annihilate blacks. Nail them through their palms and incepts on beams of wood. Burn crosses on black lawns in my Moorish hood. Black Klansmen like movie from 1960s. White power, not supremacy like Clayton Bigsby. Now I run through illusions, battling my arch nemesis misconfusion. She's been trying to keep me out of course, facing losses, calling all her negative forces. 99 years past, Drew Ali said 50 would pass, and you wouldn't know about me, or even know what I brought for you. NOI and UNIA knew about him too. Most thought that they could bury the movement, be in charge, passive and abuse it. But Drew said new Moors would come with eyes open, seeing and knowing, far from hoping. Far from belief in faith, master fruition. Study the laws of nature, activate intuition. One day our wheels of industry will stop, and when it starts again, Moors will be on top. Drew Ali blessed with latent power. Warned you, get out the way or be ground to powder. Drew Ali didn't kill you fast, but he brought you your title and estate vast. Confusion continues to confuse, no remembrance of Maghrib al-Aqsa by Moorish descendants. Now I run through illusions, battling my arch nemesis misconfusion. She's been trying to keep me out of course, facing losses, calling all her negative forces.
There's a lot of Moors.
We have one of my good brother up top, your good brother, Kudjo Adwo. What's going on, Mark?
Islam, Moor. What's good with you?
I'm trying to do the right thing.
I hear that.
Do the right thing. You ready? How they loaded? You ready to go and shoot from here?
Yeah, Moor. We're ready to go.
Like I said, I was telling the family, we're going to have a good Q&A here, for the first half, because we're going to come back to you with another part two. But the first things first, my question to you, brother, that you can help us break down is about the prophet. Prophet say about law and civics? And what is law?
Islam. When we look at the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, it's very evident that he was approaching us from a no perspective, right?
Right.
Like there's no guessing.
Right.
It's no, and then if you don't know, then you go check so you could know. Right? So with the, you know, we can't, like Brother Abdullah says, the question's colored.
Right.
Because it's a color of thought. It's a color of thought to think that Noble Drew Ali didn't teach law when he brought more as a constitution.
Right. Exactly.
It's a color of thought when we question, did Noble Drew Ali bring law, but we have a nationality,
Right.
which deals which now goes into international law, not just domestic,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not just national affairs, but international affairs as well.
Wow.
All right? So it's hypocrisy
Right.
for people to question, you know, Noble Drew Ali's credibility with regard to law and what his mindset was with regard to it. Because it's very evident that he was about law. It's not even, you know what I mean? Nothing to debate about. Right? But the problem again, what we have is that people not looking at this from a no perspective. People looking at this from trying to know or wanting to know or moving toward knowing. But it's supposed to be about knowing. And the only way that you're gonna know is if you study.
Right.
Like you can't know if all you have in your possession as a Moorish American is Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple, Moorish literature, 101 questionnaire, and oral statements. If you say you're a Moorish American and we go to your library and that's all you got, playing games. You don't know.
Right. Right.
Right? It's like Steve Coakley used to teach. That, right? Like Steve Coakley used to teach, right? People have to start being junkies. People have to start being hoarders of information. Forget hoard carpets and hoard dumb stuff. Hoard books. Hoard knowledge. Right? Because he was talking about how people want to be spick and span and have their house looking all whatever like that. But then you go to his house and he got newspaper clippings all on the walls all over the place.
Right.
Info everywhere. Like you go in there and you can't avoid knowing something.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I mean? So
That's right.
there has to be you know, the perspective of this is broader than Noble Drew Ali. Yeah, we give honors to the Prophet and all that, but he's not the all and be all when it comes to knowing stuff.
Right.
Because he went somewhere to go learn. So he didn't know too much if he had to go to somebody else to go learn.
That's true.
If he's saying, I'm the Egyptian adept student, then clearly, you know, he didn't know it all. And because he didn't know it all, what did he do? Seek out to know more.
Right.
No pun intended. Right?
Right.
So the perspective of now when we go into what is law, right? Noble Drew Ali laid that down. Right? Noble Drew Ali told the Moors that we have a higher self and a lower self.
Right.
Okay? That's universal law. That's the law of balance. That's the law of correspondence. That's the law of gender. So he taught law, he exercised law, and he told Moors what law is. And if they didn't know, study, and trust, you'll find out. So it'll be, because this is about uplifting fallen humanity, right? It would be a disservice to humanity for quote unquote grand sheik to tell somebody what law is, when if this is about knowing, what I should do is give them a reference point for law so that they can go check for themselves. Because it's for them to know. It's not for me to control their destiny, because I have power, or I have a title, or I have a building, or I have something that somebody else has, me looking bigger than them or whatever. It's really about them. So, when you say with the other question, what is law, we would tell people, okay, well, do your research on universal laws. That's one law, right, that you study. Do your research using Black's Law dictionaries or Bouvier's Law Dictionary, or dictionaries relative to law. Right? And you'll get a perspective of what law is. But I would suggest start with the universal laws, and then from the universal laws to the natural laws, and then from the natural law to the common law, and from the common law to the constitutional law, and then once you get to constitutional law, you should be clear on what law is. For the individuals, for themselves, not because, Kudjo said, because they want to know what it is. All we're doing is just giving a reference point. That's all we're doing. Giving a point of reference so that people can know for themselves. And how they're going to know? They're going to take those reference points and they're going to go study.
Right, exactly.
I yield on those two questions more. Islam.
Islam, and that was really good, and I appreciate that, because I got a clearer understanding of that now, which leads me into the next question, that what information does the Temple Moors who want you to join put out to help the people, or if any information they put out to help the people?
Well, again, we qualify this concept of Moors in the temple and Moors not in the temple, right?
Please.
Just like any other quote-unquote organization, association, etc., it has members, right? So on the basic level, Moorish Science Temple of America, the organization that people belong to, and they're members of that. Those people, in a general sense, would be temple members.
Okay.
Now, there are people who might call themselves Moors, but they might not belong to that, as far as Moor Science Temple is concerned.
Right.
But if they're an Asiatic of America, North, South, Central, the adjoining islands, and they recognize Noble Drew Ali's prophethood, right? They are members of the Moorish Divine and National Movement, which is the umbrella of what Noble Drew Ali brought.
Right, okay.
So, Moorish Divine and National Movement is not an association, is not an organization, it's a mindset.
Or a business, right? It's not a business either,
Right? And it's not a business.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with the status quo of, you know, organization, association, whatever those are. It has nothing to do with that.
Right.
Moorish Divine and National Movement is existence. Right? And the existence is for individuals who see a broader perspective than just Moorish Science Temple of America. Because he came for everybody.
Right. Universal prophet, right?
All right. So if he came for everybody, not everybody might want to be a member of Moorish Science Temple of America. But as Moorish Science Temple of America, they had a certain obligation to make sure people are part of that.
Right.
Which comes back to the question as to information that they put out. If they put out information and sound like a church, people aren't going to join. Now, if they've been putting out information sounding like a church for 100 years, then they're limited in their capacity as an organization as far as assisting people.
Right, exactly.
Because certain people are going to turn their back to it because they don't even want to be involved with something like that, especially if they have higher knowledge and they know about, you know, brainwash camps and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right? So you see the pattern of Moorish Science Temple of America since Noble Drew Ali left the forum being from a perspective of once you be part of that, you're under that.
Right.
And you have to listen to what that guy says. And you can't talk to those people. And we have a close-knit community here that, you know, we say red ties and everybody has to wear red ties. If you don't want to wear red ties, then don't belong to this. Right? Now, somebody who has higher knowledge, well, you know, a tie is a noose. Like, why would I want to be part of that? Well, you could get a clip-on tie. It doesn't matter. It's still a noose.
Still a representation of a noose.
It's still a noose. So if I have the mindset that these people are saying, join their thing and wear a noose, then why would I want to be part of that?
Well, part of the interjection, while we on that, how did it get from what the prophet was teaching to what is being done now?
Well, it's not necessarily what's being done now, because there are Moorish Science Temple of Americas that are doing their best to live up to the standard that was laid down by Noble Drew Ali with regard to what the Moorish Science Temple is. Right? So for example, one example we'll use is brother Grand Sheikh Nature El Bay. Right? Nature El Bay, Moorish Guidepost Publications. This is 2006. Moorish Guidepost, 2006. Right? Moorish Guidepost Publications, owner and publisher, Grand Sheikh Noble Nature El Bey. Assistant editor, Assistant Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey. Layout and design, Secretary, Sheikhess Nika El Bey. Right? And then just so the people can see, right? So Noble Drew Ali told the Moors that, you know, one of the things that Moors should do is have their own press. Right? So since 2006, there's been Moor Science Temple of America living up to the standard of making sure that we have our own press. Right? That we have our own papers telling our own story that we're putting out. Right? When we look at after Noble Drew Ali passed form, until today, there's a body of individuals that infiltrated this, and their descendants are still around. And it's far too gone to correct. Right? Like there's no correcting the errors of the past. They are what they are. Right? All we could do is learn from them.
Exactly.
Right? What we learned from the errors of the past people who say they were representatives of Moorish Science Temple of America and Noble Drew Ali and Moorish Divine National Movement, etc. Right? We realized that people's perspective of it was that it was running like a church. People's perspective of it was that it's no different than going to the, and then they name some Baptist, Pentecostal, whatever. That's not what the initial intention of this was. Because remember again, we have Moorish Divine and National Movement. We have Moorish Holy Temple of Science. We have Moorish Science Temple of America. Different aspects of Noble Drew Ali's thought of how are we going to go about uplifting these people. So the people who are religious minded were supposed to go join Moorish Science Temple of America and get the lessons that's supposed to get them from Jesus to Yahshua, to recognizing that it's really them, and recognizing that like Rick Smith said, Noble Drew Ali is the Christ. Noble Drew Ali is the Christ come again. 2,000 years later, when he said he's going to come again, that's the guy. For those people who love Jesus, come listen to him in the flesh. Not this BS that the Europeans are telling you. Come listen to him in the flesh tell you. Come and see him loose himself from being tied up and all that. Come and see him read your mind. Come and see him do all the miraculous things that Jesus used to do. So you can recognize what it is that you have around you. And then from that, they graduate to Moorish Holy Temple of Science, where they learn the civics and they learn the higher divine teachings. Because remember, Moorish Science Temple is just the basic stuff. That's just, you know what I mean, to bring you in the door. After you come in the door, you're elevating from Moorish Science Temple of America into Moorish Divine National Movement, community centers, fisheries, manufacturing companies, all this stuff that you didn't even think was going on. But what did they do? They stopped everything after Moorish Science Temple and kept it right there. Religious Corporation, 101 questionnaire, turned it back. Affidavit, as the Noble Drew Ali said, the lawyer signed it. The affidavit, we're Moorish Science Temple now. And stopped there.
Wow.
And then, of course, you know what I mean, once the people who the leadership were supposed to be the ones who, after Noble Drew Ali passed, kept the stuff running. Right? Because everything was already running. It's not like they had to do anything. All they had to do was just keep doing what man put down.
Right.
And again, just look around and show me Moorish stuff. Only thing that we got that we could show is the so-called colony in Virginia, where there's actually buildings with crescents and stars on it, circle sevens on it. You know what I mean? Like there's actual things there that we could see with our own eyes to know that, damn, this thing was that big that they had their own colony.
Wow.
Bays and L's in Virginia had their own colony. You think they didn't do that because of all the stuff that Noble Drew Ali did prior to them? Of course they did. Right? But again, you got to ask the question, how come grass is growing out of the windows of those buildings?
Right.
How did it get like that? Who made it get like that? How is it today that we can't even find a building to do our Noble Drew Ali whatever? We got to go rent from some clown or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
But these people got Moorish Science Temple, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Moorish Divine National Movement buildings right now with grass growing out the stuff.
Wow.
You want to know how come the Moors don't have something? Ask all these traders that are still around today that are mad at people like Grand Sheik Nature who put out his own paper. They got mad at that. Because why you get the authority to put out? What do you mean what do you mean authority to put out a newspaper? I'm a Grand Sheik. What do you mean? What do you mean I need permission from somebody to put out a newspaper for Moors in my own territory? Who the Grand whoever is not even seeing. He's not even engaging the people. Or the Supreme whoever I mean. Because again, these Moors aren't doing like Noble Drew Ali was doing, making their rounds and all that. Noble Drew Ali made his rounds to all the temples. Tell me when some of these Supreme Grand Sheiks last left wherever they're at right now.
That's true, right?
When's the last time they went to go check one of the other temples? And then they're going to say, oh, well, no, we've been doing that because, you know, you're just on the outside. That's why you don't know. Well, why am I on the outside? Because if they were dealing with Moorish Divine and National Movement, then everything's supposed to be transparent to every Moorish American.
Right. Exactly.
It's not supposed to be some closed door, whatever. Only certain people know what's going on. Everybody's supposed to know what's going on if they say they're Moorish American. Everybody should be getting personal stuff sent to their door. On, you know what I mean? Moorish envelope, Moorish stamp. Moorish postman delivering it.
Exactly.
You know U.S. Post delivering no Moors mail.
Not that I've seen.
Right? So the disservice is still happening right now. Because again, you have this element of individuals who are keeping Moorish Science Temple of America some religious whatever. Come here, come and we'll sit here and we'll read the Quran with you and break down the Quran. That's people's personal stuff they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
That's what they're saying, that's church.
Right.
But again, you know, Noble Drew Ali said some of his best Moors are where? In the church.
In the church, that's right.
Why? Because anytime a Moor goes into a church, it becomes a temple. So every church is a temple. But the mindset of the people in there are church. But it's a temple because Moors are in there. And again, there's no graduation. People stay stuck on stagnant. They stay stuck on Moorish Science Temple of America, when that's not the all and be all. That was the last part that was added on to this. There was things going on before when Moorish Science Temple of America was still in the incubator.
Right.
There was stuff going on already.
Right. So let me go into that.
And again, quick interjection. Don't think that, you know what I mean, this is bashing Moorish Science Temple or something like that. We're Moorish Science Temple.
Right.
Exactly. We're not like some offshoot or whatever. We are Moorish Science Temple. Right? So we're speaking from what we see as a Moorish Science Temple of America, but a Moorish Science Temple of America institution, association, organization that realizes there's no honor among thieves. And we choose to not be with the thieves. Right? We choose to be with the people who are looking at this, just like how Noble Drew Ali looked at it, that it's humanitarian. This is the people's stuff.
Right.
This is not our stuff to hoard and make you bend over backwards to get your stuff. The Quran is yours. Read it at your free will. You don't have to do no Quran classes. That's your holy book. It's not the temple's holy book, or Noble Drew Ali's, or some grand sheiks. It's yours. One-on-one questionnaire is yours. What are you going to do with it? Don't worry about what other people got, what they're doing with it, especially if they're trying to convince you that they're a master of it and they can put you on to whatever. What do you mean? Or that they're the official, and then those ones over there aren't official because, you know, they don't have the, you know, form that was filed on the 15th of whatever. All that is this game that has been created to get you to think that all Noble Drew Ali was about was this one organization and that's it. And nothing else mattered but Moorish Science Temple of America. He had a community center. They're talking about that in Camden, New Jersey, there was Moorish cookie factories.
Wow.
Where's that stuff at right now? Who's the last people that had jurisdiction over those stuff? This is why they tell you, don't worry about what happened back there. Focus on now. Don't worry about what people did in the past. We have to look forward because Allah is leading and victory is sure, so we have to go forward. No, hold on a second. People were paying dues in silver. There was no fiat back then. Where's all that stuff at? Somebody's got to be responsible. But again, you know, it's been, you know, 2008 we came in and we've been on the same thing. As soon as we found out that there's people called dirty Moors around this, we think that was just some statement. Noble Drew Ali's talking about dirty Moors. He's talking about Negroes over there doing dirty stuff. No, he's talking about people up in this.
Somebody had their hand in the cookie jar.
Oh, they had their hand in the cookie jar. You know what I mean? And then they're trying to tell you about what cookie jar and beer chocolate chips all over their teeth and stuff like that.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
In your face. In your face. Right? Cookie crumbs all on their shirt, all on their red tie. They're trying to tell you about focus on Allah. Focus on Allah? When people were paying 50-cent dues in silver, lawful, money. Lawful, right? Lawful. And there's nothing to show in 2017?
Wow.
And nobody's questioning these people about, hey, what do you mean focus on the now? Okay, let's see, because all these people like to play the thing of, the successor of the prophet. Okay, so we already know all the names of everybody who goes back to when Noble Drew Ali was around.
Right. Please go in on that. Please go in on that, sir.
I don't even have to. I'll just say this. Go to rvbaypublications.com and get the book called Bringing the People Back into the Constitutional Fold of Government by Rasmariah V. Bay.
Oh, good mother Roz, yes,
Right?
yes.
Let's just get some of the table of contents, right? For the bringing the people back into the constitutional fold of government, right?
Right.
And you were talking about going in on whatever, so we'll just go through the table of contents to give people a perspective of what's in here. So again, we're not telling people whatever. They can go do their research.
Exactly. I
Right?
love that. I love that more.
Table of contents. Intent. The missionary work. Eyes wide open. And if any of these, are in line with any of the questions that you have or whatever, we'll just take it out of this. Just to show how deep it is. How heavy it is when you study from the right sources. Right? That we'll use one source and answer all the questions. Just because. Right? Eyes wide open.
Right.
Failure to erect schools. The degrees. To be a club or not to be a club. Do the people have too much information? Identifying the responsible party. Upholding law is knowing law. Thanks for keeping doors open. In order to change the people, you must change their literature. Gaining and losing membership. With regard to your question, the infiltration, background information, events leading to the prophet's death, Noble Drew Ali's last letter, informants, infiltrators, and surveillance, arrest for failure to comply with Selective Service Act, letter to President Roosevelt's wife, FBI directives, what shall we call them? This thing runs deep, don't break the covenant, lack of comprehension, and competent leadership. Other organizations influenced by the Moorish Divine and National Movement, the true meaning of religion, the Holy Quran.
Wow. That's deep. What's the name of that book again, bro?
Bringing the People Back into the Constitutional Fold of Government by Rasmariah V. Bay. And keep in mind, just keep in mind that, this is why you hear people talk negative about the mother and the site and anything having to do with RV Bay Publications. Why? Because they were putting the information out that the people were supposed to be getting from these people calling themselves Moorish whatever and weren't getting.
Right.
And now they have them looking bad now. Because all they're doing is trying to save face. Right? They have them looking bad. And instead of them just recognizing that, we got caught with our hand in the cookie jar, wipe off your face, wipe off your tie, and get to work for real, they want to stay around with cookies in their teeth or whatever, trying to convince people come join something.
Wow.
And then the people who said, okay, well, forget them, we're just going to go Moorish Divine and National Movement. Because the Moorish Science Temple of America people don't have jurisdiction over that. They can't claim that Moors can't be that. Right? Like, for example, this is, and again, you know, this thing of don't go back there. When you go back there and you start studying back there, you realize that these people are still around today, playing games with your birthright. Right? Now this is why this one's important, because it's on my solar return. Right? May 12th, 1931. May 12th, 1931. Mr. E. Mealy L. Morris Science Temple of America, a corporation, Chicago, Illinois. Dear Sir, kindly acknowledging receipt of $120 for professional services rendered in the case of Morris Science Temple of America, a corporation, by C. Kirkman Bay versus E. Mealy L. This is to further state that the verdict was entered in favor of the defendant, which was yourself, E. Mealy L., by Judge, by Judge Herbart in the Municipal Courtroom 913 on May 7th, 1931, case number 1746990. Respectfully yours, Wendell E. Green. Right? Attorney at law. So there was a verdict in some Moors' favor against some other Moors. And it says in the letter that the Moors who the verdict was in favor of were the defendant. If they're the defendant, that means somebody took them to court. And it named the party who took them to court.
That's right, that's right.
All right, so, and then now today, these people are going to say, oh, don't worry about what happened back then. Don't worry about that. Don't worry that this Moor called the European on his brother, which is in supreme violation of what Noble Drew Ali laid down. Right?
There's a lot of that going around. There's a lot of that going around.
You already know. Because people think that this movement was, you know, theirs. Because they were the quote-unquote leadership.
Wow.
When this is not, this doesn't belong to the leadership. The leadership have their power from the people. This is why they play this, you know what I mean? They're telling us about we're drinking the Kool-Aid, but you could see the stuff that we're drinking on our stuff.
Right.
You know it's water up, smoothies up, you know what I mean? Roots tonics up, coconut water up. You know what's up when we're drinking.
That's right.
The other people, they got their red cups and stuff like that, trying to convince you that we got Kool-Aid that we're giving people. And again, these are the same people who, from 1931, verdict was against them that they're a fraud. But how does it go? The fraud is the one that gets recognized. The traitor is the one that gets the honors. Only because they got rid of, you know, the people who, you know, it was the other way around. It was the traitors that were supposed to get rid of. As soon as everybody got the verdict that these guys were the traitors. But nah, everybody wanted to play their little game. Right? When this is about people's birthright. You say it over and over and over and over and over again. That this is about birthright. This is not about some club called Morris Science Temple, come join. This is about you are a nation. You are a nation. Whether you want to be it or not is up to the people.
Right.
It's not up to the leadership. And again, they don't have to try to set up something to convince people. It's already set up. Those who sit at Moorish Science Temple of America, their job is to bring people in on the basic level. That's why they're the youngest institution set up by Noble Drew Ali. Right? Because they're supposed to deal with people on the basic level. Teach you the fundamentals. Give you the literature that you need. And once you come in and you proclaim your nationality, that you are who you are, then now you're getting elevated to really what this is about. But again, they stop you at Moorish Science Temple and limit your growth. No different than NOI limit people's growth.
Right.
And all these other things limit people's growth because they have you focus on this one guy like he's the all and be all. He's not all and be all. He's a student of other people. How is he the all and be all?
Right.
How does Noble Drew Ali have teachers and you're not trying to find out who his teachers were? You just focus on what he got, that's it.
Wow. Idiotic.
It's insane.
Now, pardon the interjection, bro.
Islam.
You said we are a nation. You said we're a nation, and that brings me to this question I've been looking at for the last 2 minutes and listening to you, and it's a lot on it. Like, what is nationality, and how does one obtain it, or where does it come from?
Right now, again, if we have a flag, we're a nation.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? For you know, again with this warped mindset that you have an organization called Moorish Science Temple of America, but it flies a national flag, not an organization flag.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly it's not about the organization, clearly.
Right.
If a national flag is flying in the spot, okay, for example, you go to Taekwondo, they have the flag in there. What are they doing there? You think that's just some gym class? No, that's their culture that they're teaching you.
Right, that's right.
That's their culture they're teaching you. You're not coming there to learn some stuff now you're the Taekwondo guy with a Canadian flag. You know, if you say you're Taekwondo or whatever, you gotta rep the flag too.
Right.
You can't rep your own stuff. Why is it that they don't have an organizational flag? Why are they flying a national flag, and why are people so absent-minded that they don't recognize that this thing is bigger than this organization? Look at the flag. Forget which side it's on or whatever. Let's just look at, hold on a second. That's a flag that's international. That's not some organization flag. That's not the Moorish Science Temple of America, founded 1913, and this is our flag. No, that flag's 10,000 years old. What do you mean that's Moorish Science Temple's flag? What do you mean? What do you mean? That doesn't make sense. That you flying a national flag and you tell me about some organization? You tell me that, oh yeah, people who say that this is a regency, they're a fraud. How is it? Okay, well, if you go all the embassies around the world, they got a flag in there. And then that represents somebody who's a national that can run to that plot when some stuff goes down that they don't want to be part of, whatever like that. They can go there and go hide.
Right.
Okay, so if we're in our own land, then that would be a regency. And isn't that the same thing going on? That democracy is trying to take over or whatever like that? And then you're supposed to have a safe haven that could protect you, because you know how these democratic whatever's due. They already told you that, who they're out to get and how they're going to deal with them when they see them. And then we have, you know, again, it wasn't Moorish Science Temple. It was active, studious Moors that put on the record King Alfred Plan. So Moors could know that these people know that we're Aboriginal and indigenous to this continent. And you know, through our mother being part of this continent, that's how we inherit our nationality. You know, like you think Noble Ali went to the Moorish Science Temple to be a Moorish American? How did Noble Ali become Moorish American? You tell me he went to Moorish Science Temple of America and that's how he became Ali.
Wow.
Really? If you're going with that, then we know why we're in the situation we're in as Moors. If you really think that, you know, this building, Moorish Science Temple of America, makes you a Moor, and then, you know, you look back at Noble Drew Ali and say, hold on a second. Noble Drew Ali is a Moor. But he didn't go to Moorish Science Temple of America and proclaim his nationality. And if he did, which one did he go to? Where's that at? And again, don't let's talk about that, you know, oh, that's inside information, nobody can't know that. No, everybody should know whose temple Noble Drew Ali belonged to. You know, but, you know, as we know, he's the founder, so clearly he didn't join Moorish Science Temple of America to proclaim his nationality or to be a Moor.
Right.
He was that by birth. He was a descendant of a Moroccan born in America, so he's Moorish American.
I got about 9 minutes on here, but I want to get this one last one in if I can. That's really, really, really important, I think. For dealing with S and the U.S.A. And let me ask you this, brother, in Canaanland, because that's who you are. Is that considered America?
Canaanland is considered America. Now, interesting that you bring up that question.
Indeed.
Because I was speaking with Brother Yusuf L earlier today. And we were talking about this idea of United States of America, or United States, whichever one you use, being a country, right? And we said to ourselves, okay, let's go with the fact that it is a country. Let's go with the fact that, yes, United States is a country, right? If United States is a country, then how come certain states were once countries? Do your research on when Ohio was a country, because at one time Ohio was a country.
Right, and Texas too. Texas.
Oh,
Exactly. Yeah,
so
right.
and Texas was a country. Hold on a second. So then, if United States is a country, and Texas is a country, and Ohio is a country, and all these quote-unquote states are actually countries, then it would make sense, because everywhere else in the world, right, when you go on a continent, they have countries there. They don't have states.
Right.
It's a country, and then it goes down into towns and all that stuff. They don't have states. Right? That's if we go with the whole idea of it being a country. And then if United States is a country, then that would mean that United States doesn't mean the whole thing between Mexico and Canada.
Right. That's right.
The only thing that's the country would be DC. Right? The quote unquote radius that they like to give to say that's the jurisdiction of. And then everything else is a country. So if it is a country, right, it's there. Right? That's if we go at the country. Now, if we go to the quote unquote United States, which is a country, it's code, right? United States code, the country, this is the country's code. So the country of the United States has a code. Right? And Title 28, Section 3002, or United States Code Title 28, 3002, Section 15, states that the United States is a federal corporation and not a government. And if you recognize that it's going to say United States in capitals, which is going to let you know that they're not talking about the Republic. Which, you know, if we're going with the country, then Republic is separate from the country, and then the United States Corporation is separate from the Republic. All these different things called United States now. But only if you know the history of this thing called United States, that at one time it was a country. But if it was a country, then it means all the other states were countries too. And it wasn't under the jurisdiction of some Europeans that came over here and set up some colonies.
That's right. That goes back to the Barbary, right?
Goes back to that. Goes back to why there were already roads here. Why everything was already carved out here. It's not like all they did was change signs and repave and call it something different. You think these people built all these? You think all these roads around here? You think these people built these? These things were here already. These things, we've been here. If the riverways are here, then there must have been people that were traversing along these riverways. And, you know, if you're talking about flags been here 10,000 years, and then the people been here, you know, for longer than that, because people make flags, then there had to be ways to get around. So we've been here. Now we know, just because this quote-unquote code is letting people know that United States is a federal corporation, this is them saying that, then why would we be against what they're saying? They're letting you know that the stuff's a corporation. Like, this is not what Moors say. This is what they say. They say it's a corporation. This is not Moors talking. This is the United States talking, saying that United States is a corporation. And we're gonna say that it's not. And then if we do agree that it's a corporation, then obviously it has nothing to do with this continent. It's foreign to this continent. And the only country above Mexico is Morocco and Greenland.
Give me 1 second, more. Give me 1 second.
There's a lot more. Right? So again, Moors, it's all about study. Because only if you study only if you study would you
Right.
be able to put the pieces together so you can come to something in your mind. It's not about other people. This is about how are you looking at this? How is this registered to you? Right? Just like it says, 101 questionnaire, the additional laws for Moorish Americans. All members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire. And let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so. Because out of your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation, not the guiders of the temple, not the guiders of the Moorish Divine National Movement, not the guiders of the Old Canaanite Temple or the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, guiders of the nation. Oh, and then this is in the Constitution. That they said, you know, is additional laws. But they say Noble Drew Ali didn't teach law, but he gave you additional laws. But he didn't teach law. He didn't bring law to Moors, but he brought Moors additional laws. Keep letting these people play around with your birthrights. Use your 5 senses. Once you use your 5 senses, you'll be all right. Because those senses aren't going to lead you astray. Right? The senses aren't going to lead you astray. If your heart's in the right place, your senses will not lead you astray. And then you could use them interchangeably. You know what I mean? You might have to hear something to see it.
Right.
You might have to taste something to smell it. Right? Use the 5 senses.
Peace, more. I got about 2 minutes left on here, so I want to go ahead and say this has been really, really enlightening. And can we get a part 2 to this?
Well, what I was gonna say too was if you have the other questions, because I have you on the phone still. You still got a half hour?
Okay, I can stretch it out to about 5 more minutes here on the camera. I can stretch it out to about
Yeah,
5
no.
more
I
minutes.
mean off the camera.
Oh yeah. That's true too. Okay.
Yeah. Cause I'm recording too, so I'll just send you this as the second half, and you could just put it up.
Okay.
Right?
That'll work.
Yeah. So whatever other ones you have, we'll hit up a couple more of those, because I know you said you had about an hour or whatever, or an hour and a half.
Yeah, okay, that'll work. Well, let's go ahead and then, let's go into this question then. Are we as Moors anti-government, or are we the people, the government?
We as Moors cannot be anti-government if Noble Drew Ali brought us government.
Right.
The people who say Moors are anti-government, or Moors who stand up for their rights are anti-government, are really practicing constitutional psychopathic inferiority. Look that up in your law dictionary. Constitutional psychopathic inferiority. People who say that active Moors are anti-government, that's what they are. Because the Moors, who are with what Noble Drew Ali brought, as far as teaching the people, again, we'll use the book again, bringing the people back into, because we were taken out of it, right? Remember, and remember, keep in mind, they're going to say that this is not Noble Drew Ali's teachings, what we're teaching.
Right, correct. That's what they say.
That's what they say. But what we're teaching is bringing the people back into the constitutional fold of government, just like Noble Drew Ali ordered. And the constitutional fold of government is self-government. Not some European corporation recognizing you as more. You recognizing yourself as more.
Right.
That's really the government that you're supposed to be brought back into. Governing yourself, higher and lower. Self-governance is where Moors are supposed to be in their mindset. Especially if they're in the institution called Moorish Science Temple of America, which is a government.
That's right.
That's why they'll tell you again, you know, go to the back of the questionnaire, and then you go to the back of the questionnaire, and then it says at the bottom, see Heard's Revised Statute, Chapter 32, 36, or appointed or wardens, vestrymen, or whatever name they may adopt. The name that Moors adopted was Els and Beys. Not the titles of Grand Sheik and all that stuff. Remember, this is Moorish Divine and National Movement, as well as Moorish Science Temple of America at the same time. But you have to graduate to the higher thought. Do you know where Moorish Science Temple of America could be right now if they brought the people back into the constitutional fold of government? And instead of playing games like what we teach is BS, go out there in these same communities where these Moorish Science Temple of Americas are and reclaim all these abandoned properties as Moorish Science Temple. What do you think Noble Drew Ali meant when he said when the stuff falls, all the good buildings are going to be given back to the Moors? What do you think he's talking about? Some European coming and giving you a building? No. They fell. What do you mean? How are they giving you the building when they fell? When Noble Drew Ali said that fine buildings are going to be left for the Moors, he's talking about when the Europeans aren't in power anymore, which right now is where they're at. The problem with Moors is that they have illusions of grandeur. So I wouldn't say that it's wrong to go and claim a mansion. I would say it's stupid to go claim a mansion because there's abandoned stuff that you could claim and make it into a mansion.
Exactly.
So we're not saying people who claim mansions are wrong. You know, there's their birthright. These people are foreigners here on their land. Talking about $1 million for this. Okay, well, yeah, for that, but that is on my land. You know what I mean? Like you got something worthy to you, and you bring it to my house and you put it in my house. This is mine now. That's not yours. You got your name on that or something like that? No, that's part of my stuff. You haven't made no claims. That's not yours if you put it in my house. And again, we're talking about people who are coming into this with their heart not in the right place. It doesn't even make sense that you're going to claim a mansion when there's abandoned stuff that you could claim and fix up to be a mansion.
No sense at all. No sense at all.
Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. They got abandoned schools that's been abandoned. 10 years stuff been sitting there. That's a mansion. Why don't you claim that? A school is a castle. A school is a Moorish castle. So why don't you claim the school that's abandoned? Nah, they want to get the furnished stuff because, you know, just like Noble Ali said, you know, hey European, who do you want? You know, take those Moors over there who's not going to do nothing. Take those Moors who's going to go claim not abandoned stuff. Take those Moors who's going to claim mansions.
Right.
Because it doesn't even make sense that you could claim 500 abandoned properties, but you don't want to do that. You want to claim a mansion so you could look like the queen of whoever, king of the mountain of whatever. It's asinine. And again, you know what I mean? We're not saying the claim that people made, you know, was wrong. Europeans here that's been here, eating off all our resources and all that stuff, poisoning us, but eating off our resources, their time's done. Right? Because we didn't do what we did, here comes the hurricanes and the earthquakes and the floods and whatever stuff to do what we were been supposed to do. But we don't want to do that. We want to pose and floss and do whatever else. Get sex changes and do all this type of BS.
Crazy.
Instead of doing what it is that we're supposed to do as the Aboriginal indigenous people of this land. That again, these people, United States jurisdiction, told our people in their records that we're bound to this continent by heritage. And no political asylum is going to be available from any country because you're in your own land. What do you mean you need somebody to come do something when you're in your own land? What are you talking about? What are you complaining about stuff when you're in your own land? You complain about stuff? You're home? You're home and you're complaining. How are you in your own house complaining? The Moors that are active are not anti-government. The people who are against Moors that are active are anti-government. They're pro-organization, anti-government. Pro-corporation, anti-government. Pro-incorporation, anti-government. Pro-church, anti-government. Pro-temple, anti-government. The ones who are standing up for their rights are for de jure government. Government run by the people, like what you were saying. The people are the government. This is why they take the people's power in this place called Moorish Science Temple. When you come to Canaanland Temple, there's not a Moor in there that doesn't study. There's not a Moor in Canaanland Moor's Temple that doesn't go out, study, and come back with stuff to put Grand Sheikh on, put Secretary on, put Treasurer on, put, you know, Chairman on, put Mufti on, put whoever head of department or whatever, put them onto some info. They don't know all and be all by the leadership.
Right.
Half the stuff that we got is because of members who's telling us what to put out. what they want to know. They got questions and stuff like that. Call-in shows and stuff. You think we have call-in show so we can run our mouth? We have a call-in show for us to run our mouth about what it is. No. It doesn't really go like that. You think we're gonna be on pardon the interjection and then not get interjections? You know, interjections coming like, no, you can't interject, cause this is Grand Sheik talking. Why are you interjecting? Right? When it's the people's stuff.
Right.
Birthrights. This is yours. Right? Again, the idea of governing self. You have two selves, higher self and lower self. Govern them. Once you fix within, outside is going to be easy. You got battle within, then you have battle without.
That's right.
You have peace within, you have peace without. You got love within, you got love without.
Oh yeah.
Just go down all the principles. Once you got it within, then you have without. And then that creates a balance. We're in a universal law. Which going right back to, hey, this is what Noble Drew Ali told the Moors. Hey man, I'm an adept, but I'm a student. Don't get it twisted now because I'm prophet that I'm not a student anymore.
Right.
Don't think because he said I'm prophet, don't think, oh yeah, I'm Jesus the Christ. But he's not getting put on. Even if Allah's sending the books on clouds, he's still getting put on by somebody. Right? Don't be fooled by that anti-government stuff. And remember again too, watch the lingo. The lingo will let you know who they side with. Only people who talk that Moors are anti-government, other than Moor Science Temple of America, Temple, Moors who are pushing church, are Anti-Defamation League, Southern Poverty Law Center. Anybody who's trying to say that, Europeans who are standing up for their rights or whatever, trying to tie them to some sovereign citizen, whatever. But they would never say that the Mormons are sovereign citizens. How come they don't call the Mormons sovereign citizens? They're doing the same stuff sovereign citizen guys are doing. Right? Just like they came out in the BIE. Not all Moor Science Temple of Americas, or people who say that they're Moors, or people who say that they're part of some Moorish whatever, are sovereign citizens. Not all of them. But why is it that these certain Moors keep trying to make it like all Moors who are standing up for rights are playing a commerce game and UCC game and control the strawman game? We don't play that stuff. We don't do those sovereign whatever BS. Eyes wide open at all times. You close your eyes, you're done for out here. You close your eyes, see what happens. You better have Throbbing Pineal 2017. You better. There's a lot more.
There's a lot more. So that would bring me into another question, pardon me, that you say, watch out for their lingo and the way they talk. And I've heard, one particular person say, pardon me, legalese. Now, my question is, what is the science of legalese? And did the prophet teach that, legalese?
Well, you can't be you can't be constitutional. You can't be telling people to enforce the Constitution and deal with legalese. Right? They don't match like that.
Right.
So, Noble Drew Ali taught constitutional law, universal law, divine law. All these things that he said in his own literature. These statements, these law statements that he made. Right?
Right.
So he wasn't dealing with legalese, he was dealing with law, many different aspects of it.
Right.
The legalese comes in when you're dealing with color of law.
Right.
Legalese comes in when you're dealing with connotations. Legalese comes in when you're dealing with assumed jurisdiction. Right? You're never going to get legalese when you're dealing with something that's absolute. Legalese doesn't exist when absolute is present. When truth is in the ear of the peoples, lies are irrelevant. And truth, people are being bombarded by truth right now. This is why the liars are going so hard. People can't avoid truth right now, even if they wanted to. Because as soon as they try to avoid truth, they get slapped back into reality by the liar or the lies. That, oh yeah, it's about being where truth is at. As soon as they start going against it, as soon as they start trying to play like it's not about truth, the lie is going to lead them back to the truth. It's just are they open enough to receive it when it comes back around? And most people aren't. Because again, they're stuck and stagnant and don't study. Stuck and stagnant. Just because they're not being a sponge. They're not open-minded, closed-minded. Or they're control-minded. Where their thoughts are being directed by someone at the podium or someone on the video or someone, on the audio or the phone or whatever. They're being directed. It's easy to direct or brainwash people. Right? Again, we keep using the reference. Go watch the movie Cell. If you've never seen Cell, go watch the movie Cell. So you can be clear in your mind what's going on. And remember, we're always looking at things from an esoteric perspective. We're never looking at it mundane. So when you hear United States Code is the law, that's legalese. Because the supreme law is the Constitution.
Right.
We're just using the United States Code to show that these people know that they're a corporation and other stuff. But that's not the all and be all. There's a supreme law that supersedes those codes. The legalese. The statutes, legalese. The acts, legalese. All dealing with color. Color of law. Legalese. And all it takes is the people studying. All it takes is like, you know, like how they have the you know, these people with this thing against right to travel or whatever. Right?
Right.
All it takes is people just go and just do some research on it yourself. Forget what Grand Sheik said. You go check for yourself. And you tell me if there's not such a thing as that right to do that. Because remember, again, people can sway people's thoughts. Remember, somebody says that they're Grand Sheik, divine minister or whatever. Trust me, they know how to run people with the carrot on the stick. Trust me, they know. Why do you think we just give up the goods? Because I'm not going to tell me that we're running no carrot on the stick where we're at. Everything's transparent. You are supposed to know what the Grand Sheik knows. You are supposed to know what the Divine Minister knows. You are supposed to know what the Grand Governor knows. Why? So that if that head gets chopped off, another head could grow back, no problem. But again, you know, those heads would never get chopped off because they're with the institution. They're with the side that's going to keep them there, keeping the people in this position. Drawley said new Moors are going to come seat these old Moors in the back, and then there's still old Moors still talking about they got some power to do something. And again, the new Moors just there. You're not taking the position of, hold on a second, these guys are supposed to be off the seat right now. Their time's over. Time for a new energy. Grand Sheik for 50 years or whatever, it's crazy. No way. No successors? There'll be a line of successors if you got 50 years under your belt. There should be so much more that this Grand Sheik taught. If they got all these years under their belt, that there should be no issues with them stepping down early retirement. Because again, what is it that the Grand Sheiks are supposed to do? Season their minds with the truth. And then they use their five senses and they tap into some other stuff that Grand Sheik, he's not even seeing what they're on. And then he's supposed to take the position of, oh yeah, I see what you're saying, yo, we need you to A, B, C, D, F, you know, because that's what's needed. But what do? Again, there's Moors today who were active Moors, right? They were made nameless. There's Moors today who were active Moors that were made Grand Sheiks, so the so-called, you know, leader, head, whatever, could have them under their thumb and control them now. Because they were active. And they were going to take this thing to places where these people never thought to take this. And what they do? Put their heel on that individual with a title. Just because individual thought, you know, they got out of the mindset that this is birthright. They thought this is Moorish Science Temple, so if I get the title, now I'll be able to do what I'm supposed to. No, they're going to shut your ass down and make you a passive Moor. make you a sit in the congregation, and that's all that it's about. Not about no activity. And if it is about activity, it's just some little thing just for the Moors. Just for the Moors only in this temple, you're whatever it is that you do. When there's Asiatics all over here, who active Moors know, when Asiatics see Moors, they get excited. They get excited that the Moors are back. They run up and hug and take pictures with Moors when they see Moors. They bow to Moors, call Moors prince and king and all that stuff. This happens to Moors who aren't in quote-unquote the temple. Moors who are active, that just study and exercise, live their life as a Moor. And you know, praise Allah for Canaanland Moors, that some of these Moors could actually belong to a temple, because all of them went to every single temple. Trust me, any Moor that's not from Canaanland, that's a member of our temple, went to multiple temples where they live and said that it was church going on.
Wow.
That's why they said that they want to be a member of our temple. And they're dues paying members and all that. They pay their dues and all that. And they're not even out here. We can't even get Moors here to pay their dues. And there's Moors outside of here that every month they're sending their dues. And again, because they went to these places called Moorish Science Temple, not just on some, you know what I mean, one time or whatever. They were frequent there. And they realized that in 5 times, 6, 7 times that they went to this temple, they didn't learn anything like they learned at Moorish Heritage and History School. They're learning more stuff going on YouTube studying for themselves than they're learning at this place called Moorish Science Temple. And again, we're not talking about all. We're talking about the infiltrator ones that came in here and made this only about Moorish Science Temple and nothing else. Like there was nothing else but Moorish Science Temple when Noble Drew Ali was around. There was mad you know what stuff Moors had when Noble Drew Ali was around? They didn't just have temple only. Moorish Science Temple, that's it. Nothing else? You tell me Moorish Science Temple of America, and then a Moor has a business, and then it's on a table in the temple, and that's it. No, in Drew Ali's time, that Moor didn't have no table. He had a storefront. He had a business. You were just going to temple. Say that again?
Manufacturing company, right?
Mm-hmm. Right?
Wow.
That's why when you go to Chicago, right? And you go to Burr Oak Cemetery and you visit the Prophet, a little bit down and to the right of the Prophets is McElrath Bay. McElrath Bay was the Moor who was running the Moorish Manufacturing Company. Their family is still around today. If you want to say, you know, connect with somebody who was with the Prophet, connect with the people who's making the manufacturing, who were manufacturing the mineral oil, the Epsom salt baths, and the herbal tonic. That you drink that and it would cure you with anything that you weren't born with. And then again, that's supposed to be something that is for everybody to have access to. That's not supposed to be some closed door Moorish thing only. Everybody's supposed to have their Moorish Epsom salts bath. The Prophet's mixture, specific for Asiatics in America, under these conditions that colonists put on us. The herbal formula, the tonic, boil the water, you know what I mean? You get your 5 liter, whatever. Pour all the herbs in there. Pour the stuff, let it seep overnight. Take off the herbs. They say like a quarter of a glass full. You don't even need quarter of a glass full a day. Cure you of anything that you weren't born with. This, your Prophet had this going on. So if your Prophet had that going on that level, that, you know what I mean? And then now you know why, you know what I mean, when you go to the pH scale, and then 7 is the balance.
Right.
Once you're at 7, that's when you start getting into proper health. Ask Dr. Sabi. Oh, you can't ask him because, you know, he came out, he said that he's Moor and all that. He's talking about bees are Moors and all that type of stuff. Got him out the way quick. Alright. How much more time you got, Moor?
I'm gonna go ahead and go to about 10, 15 more minutes. I'm too into this now. Like you 1 or 2 more. I got to go right here. That coincides with you just said about you know, this driving thing. It was one of the questions that we've been talking. It's suffice everything for the Prophet, man, is good. This one is the Prophet had a chauffeur.
Yeah.
Did he need a license, or can you break that down for us, the family, for us, bro?
Well, we know that, you know, Noble Drew Ali had lawyers. He had a chauffeur. He had business managers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody had their position to play. Right? Now we don't know. Forget Noble Drew Ali's chauffeur. What were all these other Moors doing? Did they have licenses, or were they exercising right to travel?
Right, good question.
Right? And again, you know, it comes back to that thing of, you know, I mean, you know, this is where we could talk about, but we don't need to go back there. Right? Because we got documented Moors today who've been exercising right to travel past 10, 15 years. Don't worry about these Moors who get their windows busted open and stuff like that. Don't worry about them. Ask yourself, how come that Moor has been doing that? How come that Moor gets pulled over and they just say, have a nice day, Mr. Bay? Question that guy. Don't worry about the Moors who go to court and then they get kidnapped out of court and all that stuff. Don't worry about them. Focus on the Moor who goes to court and they say dismissed, and they don't even want to hear no argument. Wasted time writing up all these writs and all that stuff, sending them and all that stuff, and then they get there and then they say dismissed before court even happens. Talk to those Moors.
Right, I'm one on it, but right. Exactly.
Right? Talk to Moors who did right to travel, right? And did the illegal U-turn and got pulled over, right? And then when they did the illegal U-turn and got pulled over, they told them, oh, well, sorry about that, just have a nice day, be careful. Talk to those Moors. Talk to the Moors. Don't talk to the Moors who pay $125 to go to some class to go learn about writing some writ for whatever. Talk to the Moor who just went and studied, wrote a writ by themselves, and then got everything expunged from their Equifax credit bureau BS. That people are telling you you need to go to the straw man and then authenticate and then you have access to the power of attorney of whatever. Don't listen to those Moors. Talk to the Moor who went to court. Talk to the Moor who went to court and there was 2 judges in there. Talk to that Moor. Talk to the Moor who had 2 judges at his trial. Those are the Moors that you talk to. Because something must be up if these Moors are getting this type of treatment. Don't worry about the ones that get the norm treatment that you would expect because you're going with the fact that, well, they're anti-government, so that's why they busted their window, and that's why they took their car, and that's why they arrested them, and that's not why. Those people are getting abused because they're standing up for their rights. That's why they're getting abused. And then the other people who aren't getting abused, the ones that you should be looking at, right? Those ones, some way, shape, or form, put the fear of God in these people. For example, on last week, Brother Omar went to this union meeting, whatever. No, not a union meeting. A union conference for Aboriginal and workers of color. Right? So at the thing, he's there, fezzes up and all that stuff. And all day, everybody's, hey, nice hat, and a nice hat, you know, giving them the correction, whatever, whatever. So then, he's talking to this European, and the European leans over to him and says, hey, you know, I'm a master mason. He's like, oh shit, like, this is what's going on right now? Like, you're telling me? Or you just playing around? No, I'm really a master mason. I'm part of whatever lodge. So he goes with it. You know, he's like, oh yeah, okay, I'm whatever from Prince Hall Lodge or whatever. European asks him a question about Egypt, quote unquote. He answered the question about Egypt. You know what the European said to him next? Okay, now I'm gonna have to kill you. Mason to Mason joke. Right? Because kill you implies that, you know, this guy has conquered his lower self. Remember, this guy's a master mason. And when he told him the answer to the question, he knew that he wasn't Prince Hall. He knew he wasn't part of some lodge at that point, because there's no way that Prince Hall guy is going to know the answer to this question.
Right.
So deal with the Moors who are exercising from the right place.
Right.
Don't deal with the Moors who are, you know, exercising because they heard something or they seen somebody do something. Exercise with the ones who study. Exercise with the ones who are scientists. What does a scientist do? Scientist does experiments.
Right.
Scientists doesn't have test tubes and beakers just sitting there for nothing. Noble Drew Ali brought you your nationality and birthrights, told you take this and save yourself with it for you to sit down in the temple and talk about, oh, Kumbaya, Noble Drew Ali? Noble Drew Ali brought you your nationality and birthrights, that you're Aboriginal and indigenous to the Americas, for you to sit down in the temple and hear somebody tell you about some teachings that Noble Drew Ali brought and they're deciphering it for you and all that stuff? When this is your birthright, that you better know the same stuff this guy knows, you better know more than him. This is why, again, like, you know, once you deal with Moors who are studious, Moors who are active, you get into a whole different realm of Moors. Right? You start engaging Moors who they tell you, you think some stuff happened because somebody said they're a Grand Sheik? You talk to some of these Moors who are just active out here. That again, their heart, their mind is in the right place. They're not wayward with their energies. Demons aren't talking to them. Angels talk to them. Right? Angels talk to these Moors. Because, you know, because they like to tell you, again, you know, that, you know, when man honors man, he honors Allah. Well, if this man is a traitor, who you honoring? What are you talking about? You honoring Allah when you honor a traitor.
Wow.
Because Allah is not a traitor.
Right.
So who you really honoring? When you say, well, forget what they did and all that stuff, you know what I mean? The spirit of Allah is in them, so, you know, spirit of Allah might be there. That doesn't mean that it's turned on.
Exactly.
It don't mean that because somebody has a fez on that they're your brother. Don't be naive. Don't be naive into... Say again?
Didn't the prophet say something about that? Be careful, Moors. There will be ones with the turbans and feathers on to put you back in slavery.
You know, what's he telling you that for? For you to love everybody? Everybody gets love? If everybody gets love, there would be no need for justice.
Right.
If it was about love everybody, then we wouldn't have a justice principle. And justice doesn't mean that you hate them. Justice doesn't mean that you hate somebody. Justice means that, you know, everybody's going to get their due. The scales are going to balance.
Right.
You must give in order to receive.
That's right.
Right? Like we say, a closed mouth doesn't get fed.
At all.
You know? Because it's a reality. That, okay, for example, let me just put this out there. This is lightstoneacademy.com. lightstoneacademy.com. How to know if you are vulnerable to attracting lower level entities. I use the term lower level entity because the term demon or such terms like that give these entities way too much power. Your energy field is weak, right? Knowing that you're vulnerable to attracting lower level entities. Your energy field is weak. Your ego is out of balance. You believe spirit can control you. How do you know if the spirit communicating with you is a guide or angel. The messages are always positive. It feels right. The messages are advice, not demands. How to ensure you are communicating with guides and angels. Be clear with yourself about your intention. Ask only for your guides and angels to speak to you. Use your intuition. Knowing that when you are working with spirit, you must align your intention, your energy and vibration to match theirs to get great insight, information, and wisdom as you navigate this world. Staying out of judgment, being free from fear, and keeping your ego in check is all you truly need to get the best information. Right? This is why people who are open-minded and take the studious approach would watch a Taj lecture 50 times and get something different all the 50 times. Like deeper than the first time that they got it. Deeper than the 49th time that they got it.
That's right. That's right.
Because everybody who, oh yeah, and speaking about that too, with these anti-government people, right? It's interesting that the anti-government people are speaking, when they speak from that perspective that Moors are anti-government, really what they're doing is they're talking against students of Taj Tariq Bey. Right?
Wow.
These same people who are sneak dissing Taj Tariq Bey would never tell him this when he comes to their temple. They would never tell him this when he comes to their independence walk that they do through Philadelphia. They would hug and say Islam and all that stuff to him, but then go on their little platform and talk BS about quote-unquote Moors who push that you have to correct your status. Moors who push, you know, and remember, specifically they always talk about right to travel, right? We know that driver's license fraud was set in the Moors' minds who study by Taj Tariq Bey.
Right.
He's the one that put that thought in our mind that, hold on a second, if driver's license is fraud, then all these other cards that we got are some level of fraud as well, that we need to consider the fraud that's happening to us. Right? They would never say anything to him directly because they want to be, they don't have sides, you know. They're down with everybody. They love everybody. But then they're going to sneak this and make it sound like, you know, they're not directing what they're saying against him and the people who study from him. Right? Not follow him, who study from him. Because why? He's a presenter of reference points so that Moors could go study. And when Moors go study, the reference point that he gives, they come back eyes wider open than when they left.
Right. Right.
Which is the whole point of this. No more than you knew yesterday. Don't come into tomorrow knowing only what you knew yesterday. You better know more the next day than you did the day before, or you're wasting your life. Life is useless if you're not learning something more tomorrow than you did today.
Right. Alright, peace,
Right.
more. I gotta
Yeah, more.
and I'm really enlightened. I love it more. I'm coming out of this more elevated than when I came in. I
Islam.
appreciate you each time.
Yo, well, appreciate you for setting up the special class today. You know what I mean? Pardon the interjection. So give thanks to you and give thanks to you and also too if there's any Moors out there who have information that might want to be presented on Pardon the Interjection. Do you have a contact email or something so Moors could reach out to you?
Yes, please. It's Supreme L 9999. That's Supreme EL 9999 at gmail.com. And I will put you on, family. This is your platform. And like I said, my first guest was you. And I really appreciate you. And it's anybody that's going to teach the people, not raise the people, but teach the people.
No,
your platform.
No preachers allowed?
No preachers. No, we don't need no more TD Jakes, you hear me? Let me get out of here, boy.
Islam, boy. Yo, peace and love to the family, bro.
I love you, family.
Yo, I love you too, fam.
I'm going to be in there one day soon, boy. I love you, boy.
All right, boy. Have a good one. We'll build soon.
You too.
All
Peace,
right.
boy.
Peace. Islam, Morris. Pardon the interjection. So that was a good one. So we got one question. Oh yeah, with regard to nationality cards and getting or declaring your nationality. Know without a shadow of a doubt that the card does not make you. Yes, we understand what's going on out there. But man is mind. All is mental. So, mentally, have your nationality card before you have the physical. You're only going to do that by studying. The only way that this is going to work in its full capacity is by you obtaining information. We can't stress it enough. Yes, you can go and watch stuff. Yes, you can go and listen to blog talk shows, and yes, you can do that. But you have to do a secondary fact check of everything you just watched or listened to. You're not just taking what you watch or listen to and that's it. Package that up. You took some notes, you just package that up and just leave it on the side until the next class. No. You're fact checking everything. Making sure that you're comprehending what is being transferred or what's being translated. Right? Now we're talking about one of the Moors, Brother Malik, messaged me today. And again, this is dealing with this idea that Moors go to court, so-called court. We'll actually deal with this on Sunday because with time. But Moors go to court and then recognizing that there's corruption going on in these places. And that the corruption is so thick that, you know, it's very obvious and it's very blatant that these people are violators of rights. But in recognizing that these people are violators of rights, because he is so studious, because he studies so much, everything is a learning experience. Like, it's never a negative. Like, they did they did that to me and I'm not going to be a Moor anymore because they did that. That's not the mentality. The mentality is realizing that The reason why they're doing that is because you're on the path. The reason why they're taking the position of make it seem like is because you're on the path. The reason why they're going so hard, busting your window and taking your property, is because you're onto something. If you're a good Negro with a license and whatever, just pay a ticket like a good Negro, you wouldn't have any issues. Why? Because you're feeding them. Why would they give you issues if you're feeding them? Why would, I mean, you're feeding them. What do they care? All they want is something. We told you about when we went traveling, had the European in the front seat because we already know that when we get stopped, it's good to have a European in the front because it's going to change the energy. Went from a $300 ticket to a $50 ticket because the European was in the front seat. Because those were the two people talking the whole time. He wasn't even talking to the driver. He didn't even talk. He had the driver's license, but he wasn't even talking to the driver. He was talking to the other European, and they worked out the deal. It's slick out here. So you better know how to skate. If you don't know how to skate, stay off the ice until you learn how to skate. If you want to fall on ice, falling on ice isn't cool. Don't forget, Blog Talk Radio tonight, MHHS, Eyes Wide Open. Blog Talk Radio. It's going to be a good one tonight. It's going to be a good one. 347-945-5899. 347-945-5899. Make sure you call in by 9:15. Alright, so you can get into the queue. Because Moors don't play. Islam to the Moors in Bermuda. I got the connect earlier today or yesterday. So the Moors in Bermuda are coming home. Islam to those Moors out there. Second number, 425-569-5201. 425-569-5201. 347-945-5899. blogtalkradio.com/MHHS-Eyes Wide Open. If you're not able to call in on your phone, that's at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Join us today. We'll be going in some more. Islam to all the Moors. Peace and love. Don't forget all the Moorish MC music. willofalah.com. Get the new compilation Canaanland album. Wow, Wisdom of the Womb. Also on willofalah.com. And of course, as always, make sure you go to the online Moorish University, RV Bay Publications, where you could learn for free. Free school. They say Moors don't have nothing. We got free school online. MHHS, Eyes Wide Open. Islam to Brother Supreme L, and pardon the Interjection family. And thank you, Moors, for being here. Thank you, Moors, for being here. And I just wanted to show you the Rasta upstairs. The Rasta, who knows he's a Moor, just sent me this, just to tell me, just to say, right at class, right? Keep in mind, class going on right now, he just sent the stuff, right? He just sent me just to say, yep, I see the fez. Alright? Yep, he sees the fez. It's real out here. Keep playing around like you don't want your birthright. Don't worry. All these cartoon characters and all that stuff, they're glad to get your birthright because you want to be Negro. Islam to all the Moors, peace and love. Also, we got a good class coming up probably on Friday, on Holy Day, so stay tuned for that. We're gonna be doing a little something. Getting back in there. So stay tuned for that. Friday, something's gonna be going down. Keep yourself tuned in. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam. Peace and love, Moors.
More and more I am being guided to study more. More and more I am being guided to study more.
See my Moorish flag flying like my Moorish cape. I'm not a Jew, but Jerusalem has a Moorish gate. Dirty Moors unreal, call them Moorish fakes. Pull at Negroes' emotions like some Moorish drapes. If you really wanna know, go to a Moorish meeting. You better have a pen and pad, cause when active Moors speaking, it's wake up time. You won't find a Moorish sleeping. Crescent moon and star in the sky, that's a Moorish beacon. The way I navigate beats, call me Moorish Seaman. My nationality, I have the power, Moorish He-Man. Moorish turban, I'm royal, don't mistake me for bourbon. Moorish master MC surgeon, not a rapping servant. We suburban, Moors are so determined to solve the Negro problem, Moorish white man's burden. Moors beans conquer, white rice, that's a Moorish plate. Black or more fish on a hook, that's a Moorish bait. Moorish estate before chapter 48, ancestral line. All secrets taken away, Moors are not clandestine. Euromasons go to back rooms or washrooms, returning black robes and hoods with cloaks, Moorish costume. You won't have it twisted once the Moorish got you. Desensitize the facts so the truth won't shock you. Some people call it awesome, I'm making it awful. Liar lawyer pushing the legal when Moors are lawful. Preachers give you ghost spell, sheep bring Moorish gospel. Moors are ancient, they even found a fez on a fossil. Even Bruce Lee knew he wore shirts with ankhs. Even MC Hammer knew pantaloons are Moorish pants.
I understand, man. I'm a man. I understand that nationality is the order of the game. I understand.
I've seen and heard Moorish things in this realm I had to fathom. In shadow eyes inside hoods, Moorish master phantoms. Smoke swarms, swirling circle 7 forms. You can stay close, I'm gonna stay far from the norm. Tory and Astro, travel on terror, no license. No jail cell, no cuffs, no sirens. No watching over my back, trying not to get stabbed. No fence hopping, windows copping. Want me nabbed, Moorish monk status. Bad up any youth who's baddest. With knowledge of self, Moorish Quran quotes, gun in my belt. Moorish Naga, not a nigga. No shots fired. Telling officers they're servants and just hired. Easing back into his cruiser, Popo ego bruiser. Tables turn, Moorish status got him like the loser. It's a shame, many hear it, but only a few wake up from the dream state and do what Moors do. Fearing their own Moorish star, pheasant, El Bay. I'm staying Moorish, I don't care what blacks say. You can tell me, many Moors are running a racket. Or show me pics proving Drew Ali is a Moorish faggot. No matter how bad it looks, I'm not dropping this habit. Moorish Neo wake up the streams telling me follow white rabbits. Jumping, stumbling blocks, they call Holy Trinity. Moorish mind, soul and heart expressing divinity. I'm Illuminati, illuminated, great seal more. All seeing eye from high, being the being I. Stand on squares and compass as Allah prepares the mind to handle demonic and those devilish stares. Casting spells so I can abandon and give him my power. For Grand Dragon commanded from a Moorish tower. Yelling Alfred Pike quotes, don't be surprised to catch me. Drawing Moorish pentagrams, reading Madame Blavatsky.
But I'm a Moor. Islam. I'm a Moor. Got sense enough to know I'm a Moor. And ain't gonna never argue with you that I'm not a Moor. And wouldn't come in your house or come among you and say I'm a Moor if I didn't feel in my heart, in my mind, in my soul that I am. God damn it, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. No Moor. So if I say it, I mean it. And if I mean it, generally, I say it. Are you a Muslim? Yes. But I know my roots, and I ain't Kunta Kinte.